American values ideally are Christian values. Now, they definitely have not, presented themselves that way over the years, especially when you're talking about geopolitics and the actions of the American government. I'm speaking more on a civilian level, a level of the average citizen. When you're speaking about Americanism in that sense, you cannot talk about Americanism without the Christian worldview. This is where we glean our American morals from. Just the whole idea of right and wrong is gleaned from the Bible, as are many other civilizations. So why are we protecting Americanism, but we aren't protecting Christianity? This is an interesting question here, because we see this fight for free speech, fighting for the Constitution. Well, what holds up the Constitution? In many ways, if you want to talk about a moral base, if you want to talk about the logical rights to morality, you have to consider the Christian worldview, the Christian perspective, the truth of the Word of God. So why are we protecting the Constitution, but we just forget about Christianity? Well, that's something that I want to ask. Because I notice that much of the infringement is Christian related. Let me read a couple things here. Anything Christian related is being attacked. For instance, a person was trying to give out Valentine's Day cards that had a type of had some Christian symbolism on it, and it was pretty much attacked, and they pretty much tried to silence this person and ban the gesture, and other things related to this. It seems like anything Christian is offensive on these campuses, and it's not just the college campus, but it's globally. We see this, anything Christian related, anything regarding Christ seems to be just very offensive. Any type of symbolism is offensive. There's this very heavy anti-Christian bent and pro-Islam culture we're seeing today, fighting for women's rights to wear hijabs and all of this. Now, this definitely seems like a type of divide and conquer or a type of Hegelian dialectic. That's what it moreover seems. But there's also something else that's going on globally. We're not just being silenced in our own country, but in fact, many Christians are being persecuted all over the world right now. I have a bunch of articles. First, we get Trump's stance on Muslims, Fox host in spotlight. So basically, we had all these people going around after the NZ shooting. Oh, it's horrible the way people are treating Muslims. Everyone's talking about this Muslim persecution that's going on right now. But no one's mentioning the fact that Christians are being murdered at high numbers all over the planet right now. All over the place. It's pretty crazy. In Asia, in Europe, and mainly in Africa right now. Crazy numbers. Recently, we had 55 Christians killed in a Muslim attack on a market in Kaduna State, Nigeria. A church building set on fire, an assault that escalated. Did we hear anything about this? This was in October. And then we had something recently that happened in March 17th. Nigerian Christians under siege. Attacks claim 120 lives since February. I mean, this is crazy. At least 120 people have been killed in a series of alleged attacks by the Fulani militia on Christian communities in the Adara chiefdom of southern Kaduna in Nigeria since February, according to the nonprofit group Christian Solidarity Worldwide. The organization reports 52 people were killed and 100 homes were destroyed last Monday in the latest attacks on Nkurimi and Dogonoma villages in Moro. The victims included women and children. Survivors of the attack told CSW that their assailants divided into three groups. One group shot and killed people, another set fire to homes as people ran away, and the third waited in the bush to intercept fleeing villagers. Here's another one. The world has learned nothing from the Holocaust. Silence and fear then. Silence and fear now. Worse still, the United Nations created to prevent genocide actually aids and abets it. They just gave a terror organization additional power at the United Nations in order to lead the G77, the largest voting bloc at the global body. So we see the UN is feeding into the persecution of Christians worldwide, which is it's absolutely crazy. 11 Christians killed every day for their faith. Last year, Christians were persecuted more than ever before in the modern era, and this year is expected to be worse. 4,136 Christians were killed for faith-related reasons, according to Open Doors USA in its recently published World Watch List 2019. Of the top 50 nations where Christians are persecuted, on average, that's 11 Christians killed every day for their faith. Additionally, 2,625 Christians were detained without trial, arrested, sentenced, and imprisoned in 2018, and 1,266 churches or Christian buildings were attacked. Isn't this it's insane? And we make these mass media campaigns for this, and I'm not trying to make light of this shooting, however it played out, but I mean, why aren't we hearing about all of these crazy Christian persecution numbers? You never hear CNN talking about this. You never even hear Fox News talking about this. You don't hear Breitbart, none of the right guys, none of the conservatives talking about this. Maybe some will, but they'll mention it quick and it'll disappear and they'll never mention it again. But one Muslim gets their hijab pulled off their head on campus or something, and it's in the news every day for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's crazy. And I understand this is part of trials. This is part of it. We understand persecution is part of Christianity. But the point is, the way they selectively report things is the disturbing part. Another trend, one that should send an alarm, is that for the first time since the start of the World Watch List, India has entered the top 10, meaning Christians there are now experiencing extreme persecution. Christians have been targeted by Hindu nationalist extremists more each year. Since the current ruling party took power in 2014, attacks have increased, and Hindu radicals believe they can attack Christians with no consequences. This sounds like America, doesn't it? The view of the nationalists is that to be Indian is to be Hindu, so any other faith, including Christianity, is viewed as non-Indian. Additionally, in some regions of the country, converts to Christianity from Hinduism experience extreme persecution, discrimination, and violence. The most obvious trend remains unchanged. Islamic oppression continues to impact millions of Christians. In 7 out of the top 10 World Watch List countries, the primary cause of persecution is Islamic oppression. This means for millions of Christians, particularly those who grew up Muslim or were born into Muslim families, openly following Jesus can have painful consequences. They can be treated as second-class citizens, discriminated against for jobs, or even violently attacked. So you hear these things, you read these things, and it's like, is this the Twilight Zone? Because if you didn't look these things up, you wouldn't know they're actually going on. You would think that there's some movement against Islamic persecution on the earth, when it's the absolute opposite. The Muslim faith is actually the lead persecutor on the planet right now, religiously speaking. And of course, following suit is this neoliberal postmodern religion we have in leftism. This type of progressive humanist movement is its own religion in many ways. And they are beginning their persecution on the Christian worldview. Maybe not physically, but definitely ideologically, they are persecuting the Christian. And it's just so easy to see the discrepancy here. Let's read another one. Not only is that responsible for the persecution Christians face in 7 of the 10 worst nations, 38 of the 50 nations making the list are Muslim majority. Among the worst persecutors are those that rule according to Sharia. In Afghanistan, ranked number 2, Christianity is not permitted to exist because it is an Islamic state by constitution, which means government officials, ethnic group leaders, religious officials, and citizens are hostile towards adherents of any religion. Similarly, in Somalia, the Christian community is small and under constant threat of attack. Sharia law and Islam are enshrined in the country's constitution, and the persecution of Christians almost always involves violence. In Iran, number 9, society is governed by Islamic law, which means the rights and professional possibilities for Christians are heavily restricted. While the forms of persecution and actors behind them vary, many seem connected to Islam. For example, under Pakistan's notorious blasphemy laws, Christians continue to live in daily fear they will be accused of blasphemy, which can carry a penalty of death. In Libya, Yemen, Syria, Iraq, War has given rise to Islamic militancy and general lawlessness, both of which prey on Christian minorities. In Islam, nations where Christians make up a minority, a significant quantity of churches might be needed to meet their numbers, the visibility of which may offend Muslim sensibilities. Wow, I mean, this is where we're at. And you look at the media here in America, and you would never even think that this is what's going on. This is mind control here. This is perspective management. This is how mass media controls the views, the belief systems of its populations. This is why today, especially in the more liberal, progressive areas, metropolitan areas, you will have people claiming Christians are the problem. Christians are the evil bigots, right? That need to be silenced. It's just wild. It's absolutely insane. So we want to fight for free speech. We want to fight for Americanism. We want to fight for the Constitution. We want to ignore the fact that Christians are being murdered, not just persecuted in light ways, but murdered all over the planet in high number, in higher numbers than any religion that exists. We want to ignore all of those facts.